Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Rich, bitch. No, not quite full-time family, but we are on our way. Welcome to episode 35, I believe, of Full Time's Fake Money Bankroll, where we get rich or we die trying. Well, we don't die. We get rich or we have fun trying, because we're betting with fake money. And no, I don't mean counterfeit money doing anything illegal. It's just something to do if you don't live in a state where it's legal to bet, or if you're broke. So you know what, I originally, before I had this YouTube channel about a year ago, I started off on a piece of paper and I was just doing this to myself. But after I started my YouTube channel, I brought it over here and I've just been using like Microsoft Word instead of a notebook, piece of notebook paper. But if you want to do this for yourself, we started off with $500 and we are all the way up to an all-time high this episode of about almost $6,500. So we've already got over 10 times what we started with. You know, if this was real money, that would be super dope. But it's fake money. Maybe eventually we'll be able to turn this into some real money betting, because we're having a lot of success, and that continued this week. Actually, we had so much success on the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale. We won every single bet we placed. 100% of the bets we placed, I'm not mistaken. Yes, every single bet we placed on the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 cashed out. You can do a 4-fight parlay, you can do a 5-fight parlay. If you would have parlayed just the underdogs we picked here, you would have literally got fucking rich. Now, we're only doing straight bets here, but when I first got into this, I didn't know about parlays, and I've learned about them since then. But look, we picked Gerald Meerschaert, underdog. We picked Steven Peterson, underdog. Montana De La Rosa was a little bit of a favorite. You can see right here, Montana De La Rosa, she was a little bit of a favorite, but Roxanne Modafferi, underdog. You know, so that's 3 underdogs if you would have put in that parlay that would have hit. And then you had Israel Adesanya and Montana De La Rosa, or even Alex Caceres, who were also just slight favorites. So this would have been a huge week for us if we actually like lived in Las Vegas or something and we could cash parlay bets. We would have went fucking ham this weekend. But either way, we just straight betted and we won every bet, so we still came out on top. But coming into this week, we had taken a little bit of a hit. Our previous all-time high was actually $6,015, and we're going to surpass that this week. But we took a hit from that $6,000 and we actually went down to $3,700 when all was said and done the previous week. One of the first weeks we actually lost money, but now we've made all that back and then some. But you can see we bet $250 on Gerald Meerschaert, $500 on Steven Peterson, $250 on Montana De La Rosa, $300 on Roxanne Modafferi, $500 on Bruce Leroy, and $400 on the Lat Stylebender. All of those cashed out, but we also had to bet on UFC 226, the Fight Pass prelims, and the main event. So these were all the bets we placed. I'll show you how much those paid out after I show you the bets we placed at UFC 226. Not as many bets here, wasn't as confident as I was in some of those Ultimate Fighter picks, but we put $300 on Gokhan Saki. Couldn't be too confident, he was a little one-dimensional. He was a kickboxing legend, but that's why I didn't put too much money on him. I wasn't super confident, and he actually lost the fight. Anthony Pettis and Mike Perry, picked both of those guys. They were underdogs, but after weigh-ins, I was a little concerned for those bets, not gonna lie. Paul Felder missed weight, and he was also a little, he didn't miss weight, but he looked a lot bigger at weigh-ins. Michael Chiesa missed weight going into his fight with Pettis, and I thought that might have affected the grappling, but Pettis was able to secure arm triangle choke, and so since we let those bets ride, we actually cashed out on them. Now, if I would have actually like been live in Las Vegas after seeing the weigh-ins, maybe those would have been bets I might have thought twice on, and I might have, you know, not bet those. But that's why it's good to not second guess yourself, because I ended up leaving it and just letting it ride, and they both paid out, both underdogs, Mike Perry and Anthony Pettis. And then Gilbert Burns, also, we lost that one. He was, I believe, he might have been a slight favorite if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we lost that bet with Gilbert Burns. So we lost 2-1-2 on the main card in the UFC 226. But since we won on 2 favorites, we still ended up profiting just a little bit there. So with that being said, let's get into how much money we won, the fun part. We went down to $0 after all was said and done, after all bets were placed. But from just the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale, where we won on every single bet, we made it all the way back up to $4,712. And then when you cash in on the Mike Perry and Anthony Pettis they were underdogs. When you cash in on that as well, we get an additional $1,700. So now when you add all of that together, we come out at a whopping $6,487. That's an all-time high. I mean, we started off at 500, now we're here, 6,500 almost, and we're just continuing to rise. And real quick, full-time family, before you forget, make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying this video, and also if you're new, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to see more videos like this, just check out the video description, the Full-Time MMA Dojo over here at patreon.com/fulltimemma, and you can see a lot of other cool things, including the goals of this channel, which is something new, so make sure you go check that out. And with that being said, enjoy the rest of the video. Now, normally I would stop the video here and do part 2 on Patreon, but since the fights are this weekend, hell, the Bellator fights are today, I'm just going to get this out on YouTube ASAP. So if you're looking for this, I'm going to do it all in one video. Let's just continue now. These are the bets I'm going to be placing on the Fox Sports prelims of UFC Boise, and as well as on Bellator 202. Bellator 202 is today, this Friday. Julia Budd's defending her featherweight title against Talita Nogueira. She's a little bit of a favorite here, but I'm picking her to win. A little bit of money there. You can see $400. Same with Michael McDonald. He's actually a little bit of an underdog, though, taking on the former Bellator title challenger champion, Eduardo Dantas. I'm not super confident in this pick, man. Michael McDonald, he's only lost to the best fighters in the UFC when he fought for the UFC, like John Lineker. You know, he lost to some Uriah Faber, some beasts. Now he's coming over to Bellator, and he's still taking on another beast. Eduardo Dantas is a beast. He could for sure get the win here. I'm not super confident in this pick. I think I started off only betting 300 on this fight, but I wanted to go down to $0. And so, because we had like 212 left, so I just spruced it up a little bit because he's actually an underdog on the Bellator card, and I'm picking him to win. And he's actually the only underdog I'm picking to win on the card. So I'm putting $400 there on that underdog, Michael McDonald. It's going to be a close fight. I believe a very closely contested fight. He's got the potential to win this fight just as much as Eduardo Dantas. It's almost a toss-up for me. But since you can get some better odds on Michael McDonald for there, I'm going to go with $400 on Michael McDonald. And then Chris Honeycutt, I also am putting $400 there. He's a little bit of a favorite taking on Leo Leite, but I think he's going to get the job done. We'll see what happens. $400 there. Not going too crazy on anything. Then you got Valentin Moldavsky. He's a huge favorite. Picked him to win. Not going to put any money there. So we're going to move to UFC Boise. These are the Fight Pass prelims and also the Fox Sports prelims, which is really where it seems like we make the majority of our money. Definitely was the case for the Ultimate Fighter Season 27. Now, these are just the prelims. That's a little different. But at the same time, I kind of like betting on these bets that are a lot less popular. When you got the popular bets coming, I mean, the huge cards, man, I'm telling you, crazy shit happens, and I kind of start to, I've noticed that's kind of when we lost money, so I'm going to try and avoid that. And if we do bet on the bigger fights, I'm not going to bet as much because you never know what happens at the highest level of this sport, and it's so unpredictable. So with that being said, we're going to move to our first bet of the night on UFC Boise, $750 on Jessica Aguilar. This fight was rescheduled originally. When I think it was supposed to take place at UFC 220, or UFC Utica. That's where it was supposed to take place. I actually was going to bet like $1,000 on Jessica Aguilar back then. I was pretty confident in her abilities. I did my research originally, but this fight was rescheduled after Jessica Aguilar had chapped lips. I'm not super confident in this pick, man, but I think since we're at an all-time high, $750 might look like a lot of money, but at the same time, she is an underdog, and I think she's got a very real potential to win this fight. She's more experienced here. She isn't coming off of a fight with Karolina Kowalkiewicz, as Jodie Esquibel is, but I still think she's one of the more well-rounded WMMA fighters out there, and she's going to be looking to pick up her UFC win in a big way. So I'm putting 750 on Jessica Aguilar. We'll see what happens there. Also 750 on Mark De La Rosa. He's pretty highly touted prospect, man. He lost his UFC debut on short notice to Tim Elliott, but that was short notice. He's going to be taking on the UFC newcomer Elias Garcia in this fight. Mark De La Rosa, his wife, also fights in the UFC. She actually just picked up a win last weekend. They're both very young, but also still experienced. Pretty decent odds here on Mark De La Rosa, and I think he's probably the more skilled fighter outside of the UFC. So I'm going to pick Mark De La Rosa, although you can see that he is what? Oh, he's actually a slight underdog. I thought he was a little bit of a favorite. So he's a slight underdog. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super confident in this pick, because I don't know much about his opponent, aside from the research that I did for my predictions. But I think Mark De La Rosa has a good chance to win this fight. I picked him to win. He's a little bit of an underdog. We'll put 750 there. Because if you win on your underdog bets, man, you're really coming up in the world. So 750 there on the underdog Mark De La Rosa. Moving on to Jennifer Maia versus Liz Carmouche. This is a fight I'm not confident in at all, dog. Liz Carmouche has been fighting in the UFC. She's been fighting savages in the UFC at 135 pounds. Now she's down to 125 pounds. But she's taking on Jennifer Maia, who's looking to make her claim as one of the best flyweights in the world. Jennifer Maia came over from Invicta as the Invicta flyweight champion, defended her title 3 successful times in 5-round fights, so cardio definitely will not be an issue. She's talented in Muay Thai and also Jiu-Jitsu. So I think she's a very talented fighter, but so is Liz Carmouche. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can't be confident in Jennifer Maia, who I think has a bright future in the flyweight division. But this is definitely no fucking easy fight. Liz Carmouche is one of the strongest fighters in the division. She's going to be looking to potentially try and grind out Jennifer Maia. And there's some speculation that this could be somewhat of a punishment fight for Jennifer Maia, because she didn't accept to fight Valentina Shevchenko on short notice whenever Valentina Shevchenko fought Priscilla Cachoeira. And so now some people feel like that the UFC is feeding Jennifer Maia to another very tough fighter, because she didn't want to play ball. But we'll see what happens. I think Jennifer Maia has the capabilities to pass this test, and if she wants to prove herself as one of the best flyweights in the world, she's definitely going to have to be able to get past Liz Carmouche. I think she gets the job done here. Almost a toss-up here for me. I'll probably give about a 60% edge to Jennifer Maia if I had to put a percentage on it. Put $500 there on the underdog, I believe. Jennifer Maia, slight underdog. Really close fight, but she's a slight underdog. $500 there. Moving on to Kurt Holobaugh versus, what is his opponent's name? First name? Raoni Barcelos. I'm picking Kurt Holobaugh. He's a slight favorite in this fight. He's coming off of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. He fought Matt Bessette in that fight. But he actually fought in the UFC years back in like 2013. And since then, since his exit from the UFC, I believe he only fought once in the UFC. He came from Strikeforce, fought once in the UFC, and then was let go. But after that lone loss in the UFC, he won all of his fights outside the UFC except for 2 of those. So I believe he's like 8-2 since leaving the UFC, came back to Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, but then he was suspended for using an IV, and his win was overturned in his performance. Now he's going to be looking to make his UFC debut, not even his UFC debut, but his UFC resurface. He's coming back to the UFC. He's taking on Raoni Barcelos, who I believe is 11-1. He's a slight underdog. I'm not super confident in this pick. Maybe 55%. Maybe I shouldn't be putting 500 on Kurt Holobaugh here, honestly. Probably just save that or keep it somewhere else because of that fact. And, the fact that I'm not super confident. And also, he's a little bit of a favorite, and I'm a little weary to bet on favorites. So with that being said, I'm going to let it ride. I'm going to go with my first instinct when I made the bet. That's also something I'm going to try and do. I'm not going to second guess myself too much, so I'm just going to let it ride. It's only $500. We didn't go crazy. So we'll see what happens there. $500 on the slight favorite, Kurt Holobaugh. Then we got Said Nurmagomedov taking on the UFC veteran Justin Scoggins. Said Nurmagomedov's only professional loss, I believe, came to Magomed Bellator, who's a fucking savage. Other than that, he's 14-1. He's related to Khabib Nurmagomedov, so you would imagine he's probably got some pretty decent grappling skills just being related to the Eagle. Now, he hasn't been fighting in the UFC, but he has been fighting tough guys outside the UFC. And Justin Scoggins has really lost to the best fighters he's fought in the UFC, but he's still been fighting UFC caliber guys, so there's something to be said for that, which is why this isn't a runaway for Saeed Nurmagomedov by any stretch of the means. He's a slight favorite. We're going to put $500 on him, maybe 65% on this fight. I believe he definitely can come in here and win this fight against Justin Scoggins, but it's going to be a tough task. It's going to be fighting the most experienced UFC veteran he's fought to date. He's fought experienced guys with winning records, but not guys fighting in the UFC, and I think that definitely makes a difference. With that being said, I got Saeed Nurmagomedov, $500 there. And then $500 on Alejandro Perez. That's another one, man. I'm only about 55% on that fight. Eddie Windland's a beast. He's been a little less active later in his career. Alejandro Perez, though, coming off of a very impressive win over Matthew Lopez, a knockout win there. Now, Matthew Lopez was a very talented wrestler. Eddie Windland's definitely not going to have that same approach. He's a little more of a boxer, but he's still very well-rounded as he's very experienced. I'm giving the edge to Alejandro Perez, and he is a little bit of a favorite here. This is similar to the Kurt Holobaugh situation. I wouldn't go crazy at all by any means in these fights. Honestly, their opponents, you could probably say, are live underdogs. So, I mean, maybe I would have, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to second guess myself, but I'm not super confident in either one of these fights, and they're both favorites. So with that being said, I'm only putting $500 on each of them. Maybe I should put that down to $250, but we're going to let it ride, full-time family. So $500 on Alejandro Perez. Moving to the main card, we got $462 on Cat Zingano. That was a bet that I spruced up when just trying to get down to $0 because we had a little bit of money left. I originally didn't start off with that much on Cat Zingano. And it's another one of those fights. Maybe I should have left at 300. You know, I feel like that's a little greedy. I'll probably change that. You know, this entire process is a learning experience as well. I'm learning where I've been greedy, you know, on some of these bets. I'm learning it's dangerous to kind of bet on some of the bigger cards and stuff like that. So all of this is a learning experience. Maybe I shouldn't be just trying to get down to $0. That seems a little bit degenerative. But I'm going with $462 on Cat Zingano. This is a fucking much-needed win for Cat Zingano. She definitely has the potential. She's coming off a split decision loss over Caitlin Vieira, but Caitlin Vieira is a potential former title challenger. She could be a future title challenger. She was next in line to fight Amanda Nunes with that win over Cat Zingano. Now, Cat Zingano is going to be taking on Marion Renault. She's 41 years old, but she's aging like wine. She's fucking looked amazing in her last few fights in the UFC, and she's looking to be like the Randy Couture of WMMA low-key. 41 years old, and with a win here and maybe one more win, she could be fighting for the title at 135 pounds. She might be like 42 years old at the time, but that would be super impressive, and she's always dangerous because she was able, her jiu-jitsu for sure, she was able to put one of her most recent opponents, Sarah Kaufman, in a triangle choke. And Sarah Kaufman's a very dangerous wrestler. She's going to try and grind you out, but Marion Renault was able to get that triangle choke and secure the victory and finish the fight. So she's very well-rounded. I might give the striking edge in this fight to Cat Zingano, but she's also very talented on the floor. Cat Zingano is one of the most well-rounded fighters, and her only 3 losses in her career, before that she was undefeated. All 3 of those came to complete, you know, either champions or title challengers. She fought, or top 5 ranked female bantamweights. She fought Ronda Rousey when she was the champion. Before that, though, she had a win over Amanda Nunes. And then also, though, she fought Juliana Pena when she was in the top 5 looking for a title shot. And then her most recent performance against Caitlin Vieira. So Cat Zingano has kind of been being, I don't want to say too much of a gatekeeper, but it seemed like that just in her last 2 fights, you know, with Juliana Pena and Caitlin Vieira, because as soon as they beat them, they were in talks for one of the next title fights. And that could be the case here with Marion Renault, but I actually am going to pick Cat Zingano to shut the gate on Marion Renault. I'm rooting for Marion Renault, kind of. I'm kind of rooting for both of these girls, actually. After what Cat Zingano's been through, the losing streak she's on, I don't want either one of these fighters to lose this fight, but it is what it is. That's how the fight game goes. I'm picking Cat Zingano to get the edge, and I'm putting $462 on her, as she is, it's a toss-up. Both of these girls are, yeah, it's pretty much a dead even bet. So if we win, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. $300 on Chad Mendes returning from suspension, returning from inactivity. He had like a 2-year suspension, taking on the very talented Myles Jury. Myles Jury's on a 2-fight winning streak from his own little hiatus, 2-year hiatus, I believe. I'm not sure the exact reason off the top of my head, but it was after he lost his first 2 fights in his career. Now he's back, looked great in his last 2 performances, 2-fight winning streak. But I think Chad Mendes is going to be fucking. Actually, I know he's looking in better shape than I've ever seen him in a long time. Chad Mendes is looking bigger. He's feeling better than ever. He's coming back off of suspension, looking to get back in the top 15 of the rankings. He's a guy that's fought for the belt, I believe, 3 times in his career, and right now he's not even in the top 15. He's going to need a win over a ranked opponent to get back in the top 15 and start making his way back to maybe a potential title shot. But with that being said, he's going to have to get a win over Myles Jury. Myles Jury is a guy that he's, not with the politics. He could have waited for a ranked opponent, but he's given, this is a very high risk, still somewhat high reward, but there's a lot higher. This is a very high risk fight for Myles Jury. Chad Mendes is a former title challenger, one of the best featherweights in the world who's unranked right now. So you're fighting an unranked guy. If you beat Chad Mendes, you get his name on your resume, but it's not like you're taking his spot in the rankings. It's actually the other way around. Chad Mendes is going to be looking to come back in here and take Myles Jury's spot in the rankings, and I think he's going to get the job done. I can't be super confident because he's coming off of a 2-year layoff and a suspension. It was like some skin cream or some shit, you know what I'm saying? But he ate that on the chin, like, hey, it is what it is. I fucked up. I should have looked at the ingredients or whatnot. But he's coming back now, Chad Mendes. He's coming off of a 2-fight losing streak as well, being knocked out by Conor McGregor and Frankie Edgar. That's why I can't be super confident in this pick. But I'm still going to put $300 on the underdog. He's still a slight favorite. Holy smokes. And so, yeah, that's even more of a reason I can't bet that much on Chad Mendes. He's not the underdog, coming off of 2 knockouts, coming off a 2-year layoff, coming off of suspension. I mean, he's got a lot of things stacked against him. And Myles Jury's on a 2-fight winning streak. But I'm giving the edge to Chad Mendes, $300 there. Randy Brown coming off of a dominant win over the CM Punk killer Mickey Gall. He's taking on Nico Price now, though. Nico Price is very talented, and he's only lost 1 fight in his career. But I picked Randy Brown to win the fight, so I'm going to put a slight bet on him because I believe he is, it's almost a pick 'em, and since I picked him to win the fight, I'm going to put a little money there on Randy Brown. But Nico Price is dangerous, very dangerous, so I'm not counting him out too much, and so I can't put that big of a bet on Randy Brown because Nico Price is very talented. But I'm picking the rude boy Randy Brown, the New Yorker, to come in here and get the job done for sure with this win over Nico Price. Next, we're not going to bet on Dennis Bermudez. I think he's going to get the win. He's the biggest favorite, I believe, that I've seen on the card. Not going to bet there. Sage Northcutt, man, I can't ever be confident in a Sage Northcutt prediction, especially a Sage Northcutt bet, which is why I'm not doing anything crazy. Not betting 500. I'm not betting 1,000. I'm leaving it at $250 on the slight favorite Sage Northcutt because he didn't look amazing in his last fight at lightweight. He hasn't won a fight at welterweight to date, and he's moving back up to welterweight. So Zach Atoth Barbarian has a very, 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 very real chance of winning this fight. But I picked Sage Northcutt to win. But this fight is like literally a coin flip. I could come, if I had a quarter right in front of me, I would say Sage's head, Zach Atoth's tails. I would flip it, and that would be my prediction. But I'm giving the edge to Sage Northcutt. But since I'm not very confident, I'm only putting $250 there. With that being said, moving to the main event, I picked the underdog Blagoy Ivanov to win the fight over the UFC former champion, title challenger Junior Dos Santos. He's coming off of a suspension that was actually overturned whenever USADA busted the lab and his name was cleared. But Junior Dos Santos, even before that suspension and whatnot, hadn't looked amazing. He's was coming off of a title loss to Stipe Miocic before that. So with that being said, Junior Dos Santos, his best days might be behind him, but I can't count him all the way out because he's got probably the best boxing in the heavyweight division aside from probably Stipe Miocic. So Junior Dos Santos, also a well-rounded fighter, very experienced. He's fought the best of the best. Been a little less active lately, not all the way his fault because of that fool-ass suspension where he was suspended, but he was cleared. Unfortunately, he was supposed to be fighting Francis Ngannou. That's a fight now that you look at, he very well could have won. He could have for sure beat Francis Ngannou. but he's also a guy that you look at, if he gets hit with that death touch, he could go out. Now, Blagoy Ivanov's coming over here 16-1. He's fought for Bellator, fought for the World Series of Fighting. His only professional loss is to Alexander Volkov. If he loses this fight, this is a huge opportunity for him here. And with these great opportunities come great responsibility. You're getting put in a main event in your first fight in the UFC. That's a very rare opportunity. And if you come in and you stink to join up, in my mind, that kind of makes the whole fucking card look bad. It's like, oh, you just gave Junior Dos Santos a free win in the main event of a fight night. Like, all right. Like, at least it was a good night of fights. And that's why it's an unfortunate situation here for Blagoy Ivanov. He's kind of got a lot of pressure on him here. But this is the thing, though. It's not like he's some scrub by any means. He's definitely got real potential to win this fight, which is why I picked him. Great judo and sambo, very well-rounded. He's fought tough guys outside the UFC. He's fought in a 5-round fight. I mean, 16-1. He's definitely no fucking scrub. And the only guy he lost to is one of the guys on the outside looking in at a potential heavyweight title shot, Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov just finished Fabricio Verdun. Blagoy Ivanov could be one of the guys. You know, he's kind of young still, 31 years old as a heavyweight, 16-1. He's a guy that can have a future in the UFC for sure. You know, work toward that rematch with Alexander Volkov or even just a title shot. You know what I'm saying? The heavyweight top 5 is already looking good in my opinion. I mean, after we get Brock Lesnar and DC out of the way, you got Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, now Stipe Miocic is a title challenger, Derek Lewis just beat Ngannou, the #1 contender. So there's a whole lot of fun fights at the top of the heavyweight division that could be had right now. And we even got this one going down in the main event between Junior Dos Santos and Blagoy Ivanov. But I'm picking Blagoy Ivanov to come in here and kind of make a name for himself with a win over Junior Dos Santos. He's going to probably, in my mind, move to 17-1. And I don't know where Junior Dos Santos is ranked off the top of my head, probably somewhere in the top 10. But this will move Blagoy Ivanov at least into the top 15, top 10 of the UFC rankings. And in a major way, if he can get a win over the very popular and well-respected Junior Dos Santos, who's coming off of getting screwed over by USADA a little bit. But either way, Junior Dos Santos is very dangerous. He's got the potential to win this fight. Blagoy Ivanov is a little bit of an underdog, but I'm putting $400 there, bringing us down to $0 after I change that. That math doesn't look right. I see, but that's just because I didn't change this 1,500 number after I spruced up the bets. So that's how much money I had left, like $200. So this number, this red number, should be 1787.27. We're subtracting exactly what we had to start with. So we're going down to $0 when all is said and done. Seeing the bets we've placed this week. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Hopefully you see it in time to maybe make some bets on Bellator, you know, because that's happening like right after I drop this video. So let the full-time family know what you guys think in the comments. And P.S. here's actually what it looks like. I just wanted to show you guys, get the math corrected just for those sticklers out there that, you know, that was probably bothering some people the whole time. Like, how the fuck does that math add up? I didn't notice it till the end, but either way, that's what it actually is. If you add those numbers up, that's the exact, you know, I got my motherfucking calculator open. It's all good. So that's the correct math right there. And also, normally, when we place our bets, that's over on Patreon. So if you're interested in getting in on this come up, if you live anywhere where you can bet on the fights, it actually makes no sense that you're not going along with this fake money bankroll right now, because I started off at $500 and now we're up to like $6,500. So if you just place the exact same bets that I'm placing, you can literally be making money for free here. I don't even charge you for this shit. So that's why I put the second half of the video usually on Patreon. So make sure if you are interested in getting this betting advice, you fuck with the Full-Time MMA Dojo at patreon.com, which you're about to hear just a little bit more about. So thank you guys for checking this out, and good luck if you're betting on the fights. And before we go, shout out to all the Full-Time MMA white belts that have hit the subscribe button. Also make sure you hit the bell right next to it so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And this is the hardest working MMA channel on YouTube. We provide daily updates, predictions, betting advice, we do songs, we do fantasy fights. We've interviewed Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, Bruce Lechemedio, and Felony Charles Bennett, all in just 1 year as an MMA channel. We're one of the fastest growing MMA channels on the net, but we're still small, so make sure you guys go check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo if you want to learn how you can become a full-time MMA black belt. And while you're there, you can see where this MMA channel started from, some of the goals we have for the channel, and even more cool videos just like this one if you enjoyed it. So thanks again to all the full-time MMA white belts that have hit the subscribe button, and also if you're just lurking and this is your first time seeing a video, appreciate that as well. I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOG.